the platform of spiritual reality. And either you act for the pleasures of Krishna in devotional service. If you do something else, it will be karma or vikarma. And it's bad, because you have to get reactions for it. That one can say, good karma, bad karma. Good karma is better than bad karma, right? Not for a transcendentalist. Srila Prabhupada said it's like stool. You have camels in the Sahara, and they pass stool, and the sun immediately dries it up. But below, it's still wet. So one can have a discussion. It's what is better, wet stool or dry stool? Srila Prabhupada said, what's the use? It's all stool, right? So one must take birth of it again. So better. And Srila Prabhupada said, yeah, good or bad karma, it is sinful because it's going against the principle that everything belongs to Krishna and is for his enjoyment. And that's sinful because you want to enjoy the property of someone else. That it all belongs to Krishna. That because Krishna is the proprietor of everything. He has the right to enjoy things. We don't have to. We don't have the. We should not try to enjoy the property of Krishna, but use everything what he gives us in his service. That's a very important point. That from the moment we think I'm mine, that's sinful and you get reactions. Whether it's good or bad, it doesn't matter. Of course, many people who are not interested in Krishna consciousness, they follow religious principles to enjoy. And for them, good karma is important. That therefore, mostly such person, they worship Lord Shiva. Yeah, he's easy pleased, easy angry. But you can become very rich if you please him in a short time. But one who worships Krishna, Krishna takes away all his karma. Good and bad, both are gone, good and bad. So a worshipper of Lord Shiva, they want to get rid of their bad karma, but not their good karma. So they don't want to enter Krishna temples. That's not so popular from them because they think of their wallet with their money. Because Krishna takes good and bad karma away. Similarly, when the disciple gets initiation from the spiritual master takes all karma, but also the good karma. It's the same thing. So next, Srila Prabhupada says, to understand this, one has to associate with authorities in Krishna consciousness and learn the secret from them. Otherwise, even the most intelligent persons will be bewildered. So let's think about our life. What do we do during the day? Eat breakfast, eat lunch, dinner, so many things. These are our daily activities. Are we doing vikarma, akarma, karma? Very important. That if we eat breakfast, we should honor prasad, not just eat breakfast. Lunch the same thing, dinner the same thing. Make dinner means devotional service. One is to offer preparations to Krishna, prepare it out of love for Krishna. And then honor prasad. One should study for Krishna. One will do shopping for Krishna, and so on. One should not do activities not directly related to Krishna consciousness, unless when it's necessary for our service. Verse 18 to 20. I will read these 3 verses now. These are important verses. Karman akarmaya pashat akarmani sakarmaya. Sabudimam manusheshu sayukta krishna karmakrit. One who sees inaction in action and action in inaction is intelligent among men, and he is in the transcendental position, although engaged in all kinds of activities. 19. Yasya sarva savaramba kama sankalpa vakchita chaknarti takta karmanam tamu pantitam buddha. One is understood to be in full knowledge, whose every endeavor is devoid of desire for sense gratification. He is said by the sages to be a worker for whom the reactions of work have been burned up by the fire of perfect knowledge. 20. Tyaktva karma phalaksankam nityatipta nirasaya kamannabi pravitopi naiva kinshit karoti sa. Abandoning all attachment to the result of his activities, even satisfied and independent, ever satisfied and independent, he performs no fruitive action, although engaged in all kinds of undertakings. So Baladev Vidyabhushan says, give up these results for actions intentively. It means it's for Krishna, not for me, that I'm doing all this. And be satisfied whatever situation Krishna gives you. And then one will feel happy inside, satisfied, peaceful. So verse 20, here we come to that point, verse 18. This one who sees inaction in action and inaction in inaction. I will put a few words between to help you to understand that more deeply. One who sees material inaction in spiritual action, within spiritual action. So if I act for Krishna, then there is no material reaction. I'm materially inactive. So one who sees material inaction within spiritual action. That's the first thing. I'm acting for Krishna. That's my action, spiritual action. And there is, but that spiritual action is inaction on the material platform. Action on the material platform starts when we push the button that activates the material modes. And we push that button by our desire to enjoy and wanting the foods for ourselves. And the second point is action in inaction. Action in inaction. That means that one is so action in inaction. Inaction means the jnani. The jnani or the yogi who is performing Ashtanga yoga, and he has stopped all external actions. So materially, he seems to be inactive. It seems he's spiritually engaged, trying to absorb in Brahman. But still, he's breathing. He must eat. That just by breathing, he kills so many bacteria. So he's still active materially. So although externally is inactive, he's still active. materially. So that is, there's action in his inaction. Inaction means he performs yogi is not active for the fruits of his activities. Although he may be, because most yogis want fruits, they want mystic powers. So that becomes, then yoga becomes a material activity. Yoga means connection with Krishna. So that's action and inaction. They renounce everything, but still they are active because they have no spiritual engagement. So they are not spiritually active. It's just material action in material inaction. That's what it is. So that must be understood. It's not just by becoming a jnani and a yogi and give up all activities that you are not materially active anymore. No, you are not still materially active. So, verse 20, freedom from the abundance of actions is possibly only in Krishna consciousness when one is doing everything for Krishna. Srila Prabhupada said, that's the only possibility. Give up attachment to the fruits of your action is not sufficient to be spiritually active. One must give the fruits to Krishna. And then there's a link with Krishna. Yoga means link. And this yoga link is made only when Krishna is involved. Even for having success in Ashtanga yoga, you must connect with Krishna. Because the final connection of the yogi is the super soul. Otherwise, not successful. That a person in Krishna consciousness, an unattached person, is always free from the resultant actions of good and bad. It is though you were not doing anything. Material is not doing anything. So that is called akarma. Actions without fruitive reactions or Krishna consciousness is akarma. So, look in our own heart. Our activities, Krishna conscious, do I act during the day for Krishna or for my own benefit? Am I calculating my benefit and using my intelligence to get material benefit? All our educational system is based on that. Srila Prabhupada went, I think it was Massachusetts Institute for Technology in America, that he had a meeting with the students, and he said, in this institution, this university, there is no department to discuss the difference between body and soul, between spirit and matter. No, all the departments are to prepare people to be successful in life, to gain a higher status in society, to get more money, and so on, for fruitive results. Now Krishna, in verse 21, he says, Nyasya yatasitat mat yakta sarva parikha saran kevalam karman kurvam napnote kilbishan. Such a man of understanding acts with mind and intelligence perfectly controlled, gives up all sense of proprietorship over his possessions, and acts for the bare necessities of life. Thus, working is not affected by sinful reactions. So, acting for the bare necessities of life. Srila Prabhupada compares it as the oiling of a machine. The body is a machine, and we must keep the machine fit to be used in transcendental service of the Supreme Lord. That as a machine part requires oiling and cleaning for maintenance, so Krishna conscious man maintains himself by his work just to remain fit for action in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. He is therefore immune to all reactions and all his endeavors. We will also read verse 22. Yatricha lapasantustot vavvatito vimachara samadhi siddhava siddhosa kitvapina nibachate. He who is satisfied with gain that comes on his own accord, who is free from the duality and does not envy, who is steady in both success and failure, is never entangled although performing actions. So the devotee, Srila Prabhupada says, does not expect good or bad results of his activities. He leaves that up to Krishna. I'm doing my best to get to get the best results, to do my job perfectly. Whether I'm successful or not, good or bad, it's up to Krishna. So a devotee is not concerned with the result immediately. He's concerned with his activity for Krishna. The activity is purifying me and bringing me to the transcendental platform. The result, that's not my business. I'm not meant to enjoy results. It's for Krishna. But it does its best to do good results. Like 20 years ago, it was in Finland, the devotees in the temple went every day out for book distribution, and they collected money, and they put it in the safe in the temple every evening. But after 2 weeks, someone stole all the money from the safe. So, result was gone. Does that mean that their devotional service was useless? No. No, they became purified by that activity. The activity is most important. That does not mean that Krishna did not teach them that they must be careful with money for Krishna and put it on the bank every day. But it's not because the result is gone, the result of the activity is gone. The real result of the activity is the purification of the heart. No reaction, and one heart becomes purified, and one gets knowledge, realized knowledge in self-realization. A Krishna conscious person is satisfied with gains which are obtained of their own accord. He's satisfied with what is obtained by his own honest labor. And that's important in Krishna consciousness. In previous life, we have done actions, and now we get the reaction in this life. Our happiness and distress is fixed by birth. You cannot change it. We may think we can change it, but you cannot change it. You are predestined to be successful or fail or whatever in your life. Nothing you can do about it. If you are destined to be poor, you will be poor. You can say, yeah, I take a second job and I work also at night. Maybe you can get a lot of money, but you lose your life in working. And that's not the purpose of human life, that live to work. No, we work to live, to get the basis necessities, what we need. And the rest we spend in direct Krishna conscious activities. So A devotee understands what I get in this life is due to my own activities, to my own stupidity, and Krishna gives me that, because that's my reaction. It's Krishna's law. And we say, thank you, Krishna, whatever you give me, I feel satisfied with it, because it's your wish, because it's the reaction that I get according to your laws of material nature, subtle laws of karma. A devotee understands that. He feels satisfied. We will discuss next days. Surely you will hear the teachings of Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj said, you will become happy when you stop trying to become happy in this world. Just accept your karma and feel satisfied with it, and use your situation in the service of Krishna. So what can we learn from it? How would the past have been different if I acted always without attachment and aversion towards happiness and distress, and without any sense of possessiveness, always satisfied with what comes on its own accord? We must be truthful with ourselves. If we look to our past, and how we acted in our own past in this life as attachment and aversion, then we must recognize that attachment and aversion has been a cause of deep suffering in our own life. Why do you suffer? Because you are attached. You are attached to someone, you are attached to possessions, and the situations change and you become disturbed. But that attachment is childish. Everything belongs to Krishna, not to us. That it's not my husband, my wife. No, they are your husband or your wife is a servant of Krishna, part and parcel of Krishna. It's not mine. No? I'm a servant. And he or she is also a servant. Good. Now the next verses up to verse 30, more or less, Krishna shows or speaks about different forms of sacrifices. That for different persons, for different under different circumstances. Some are applicable for devotees, others not. We will see. But Krishna is concerned with persons of all levels, not only for those who take to Bhakti. Because if you have the yoga ladder, in the yoga ladder, everyone is on my path, Krishna says. And there are those who go slow, life after life. But better to take directly to the highest Bhakti Yoga. Now, text 24. Brahmachpanam brahmahavir brahmakna brahmanautam brahmaiva tenagantapyam brahmakarma samadhina. A person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom because of his contribution to spiritual activities in which the consummation is absolute and that which is offered is of the same spiritual nature. And that's an interesting verse that in this verse, the process is described to turn matter into spirit. And that's interesting. I've been told that during the 70s, somewhere in America at the university campus, some devotees organized a seminar, organized a presentation at the university campus, announcing they would do an experiment to turn matter into spirit. And many came to see the experiment. And they offered food to Krishna, to a picture of Krishna, and then distributed the prasad. And then, but they explained how this food is transformed into spiritual food by this process of converting matter into spirit. And that's explained in this verse, that our body is material, yes, but we can use it in the service of Krishna. Everything we used in the service of Krishna, everything, that's turned into spirit. Like one does a sacrifice, you have the ladle, the spoon, to put the ghee, to put ghee into the fire, and the Brahmin who does it, the ladle, the ghee, and the body of the Brahmin, and the mind absorbed in Lord Vishnu, everything becomes spiritualized. So something material, we can use it in the service of Krishna. Like you see on the screen, milk. Milk and yogurt, what's the difference? It's the same, but milk in contact with an acid becomes curd, yes. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, a patient who is suffering from a disorder of the bowels due to overindulgence in milk products is cured by another milk product, namely curds. The materially absorbed conditioned soul can be cured by Krishna consciousness as set forth in the Gita. So we can use this body, which is material. Srila Prabhupada calls it a bad bargain because it gives us a lot of suffering. We wanted it by our desire to enjoy matter. Therefore, we needed a body, and Krishna gave it to us. But it's a cause of suffering, a body, especially when you get older. So many things start to happen. But we can use it in the service of Krishna. And then we use the same matter in the service of Krishna and become spiritualized. That's the process of converting matter into spirit. Matter dovetailed for the cause of the absolute truth gains its spiritual quality. Krishna consciousness is the process of converting illusory consciousness into Brahman, or the Supreme. Illusory consciousness is we think about I and mine. And most people are absorbed in it. I'm this mind, I'm my likes, I'm my feelings, I'm this and that. And this is mine and I want to get more mine so that I can enjoy. How can I improve my economic situation? That's illusory consciousness. Illusory in all temporary things in this world. But that can be converted into Brahman, into spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness, when we start to use everything in the service of Krishna. So it's up to us which path do I choose. Converting spirit into matter or matter into spirit. We are converting spirit into matter since time immemorial. And now we have to reverse the process. It's not easy to do that once. It's a gradual process. And then Krishna speaks about different sacrifices and their results. And the first are the demigod worshippers. And that's certainly not a sacrifice recommended for devotees. And Srila Prabhupada speaks also about the impersonalists who do sacrifices. So, text 25. Devam evaparejahyan yogina paripaste brahmanak aparejahyan shaknanaivo pachuvati. Some yogis perfectly worship the demigods by offering different sacrifices to them and offer some sacrifices in the fire of the Supreme Brahman. So these are these two kinds of worshippers, worshippers of demigods and worshippers of the impersonal Brahman. A person engaged in these searching beauties in Krishna consciousness is called a perfect yogi or first-class yogi. But there are also others, Srila Prabhupada writes. So that is not for us. This is for karmis and for impersonalists. Worship of demigods by karma yogis. Through this work, sacrifice their material possessions for material enjoyment. They do offerings to the demigod, to Ganesh, and so on. You can read in the book of Radhanath Maharaj, when he came the first time in Delhi, he saw a great puja preparing. And there was the god Ganesh, and so many offerings were done. And Radhanath Maharaj asked at that time, somewhere in the beginning of the 70s, well, what's the purpose of all this offering? Why are you doing that? And the man said, oh, we are starting a new business and we want to be successful. So that's all these religious ceremonies just to get material profit. Worship of the impersonal Brahman by offering their identity into Brahman. That's also illusory. You cannot merge with Brahman. Krishna said in the 3rd chapter, the soul cannot be cut to pieces. It's not possible. That it cannot be destroyed. Our individuality remains. Not vevam chatunam, natvam nimi chanapim dipa, nasivna bhavishma sarva payamataparam. That Krishna said a few verses before in the 2nd chapter. You, Arjuna, all these kings and me are existing now. They exist in the past and will never stop to exist in the future. So our individuality remains eternally. And then from 26 till 28, again, different sacrifices are described. I will read the verses. Shrotat indriyani yanye samyamak nisajuvati saptapen vishananya tist indrishakne sajuvati. Some, the unadulterated brahmacharis, sacrifice the hearing process and the senses in the fire of mental control, and others, the regulated outholders, sacrifice the objects of the senses in the fire of the senses. 27. Sarvan indriya karmani prana karmani chapare atma samyamat fyojachna chupate jnana dipite. Others who are interested in achieving self-realization, through control of the mind and senses, offer the functions of all the senses and the life breath as oblations into the fire of the controlled mind. 28. Trapya chahyasta prochakya yogo chahyasta tapare svatya jnana chahyasa chatata samsita vrata. Having accepted strict vows, some come enlightened by sacrificing their possessions, and others by performing severe austerities, by practicing the yoga of eightfold mysticism, or by studying the Vedas to advance in transcendental knowledge. So these are these 3 verses, and you see a summary of the screen. The brahmacharis under the care of a bona fide spiritual master control the mind by abstaining from sense gratification. So that's very important for all devotees. Traditionally, in the Vedic system, before marriage, there was a period of brahmacharya, where the devotee was controlling his mind, serving the spiritual master. And he would only eat when the spiritual master would ask him to eat. Otherwise, he would fast. He would learn to be a servant without any conditions, nothing for himself, just giving, like that. So that's very important. If one cannot control the senses and one goes into married life becomes hell. That's what it is. Therefore, this is very important for all the devotees to practice this. And then verse 27, practicing control of the mind to detach the senses from sense gratification and engage all areas of life in searching for self-realization. So devotees mostly attain that by hearing Bhagavad Gita, by hearing the Bhagavatam, by associating with devotees, that we become fixed in the search for self-realization. We understand that purpose. And we use temporary situations to make spiritual advancement. Then 28, the Dravya Maya Jahya. There are those who offer their possessions and they give charity. That you have many examples in the Bhagavatam of those who were Kshatriyas, who were very charitable. You have the story in Krishna book from King Nrija, who became a lizard and was then lifted out of a well by Krishna, and he became a demigod. He was cursed to become a lizard because in his previous life he was a king. King Nrija gave so many cows away, thousands and thousands of cows of charity. But he gave one cow to a Brahmin, and the cow came back into the herd, and he gave the same cow to another Brahmin. And then the previous owner said, "Oh, this is my cow." And the King Nrija understood, "Oh, I made an error." And he apologized, and he promised each of the Brahmins 100,000 cows as a recompensation, but they would not accept it. And there was a discussion. They went both away. Both Brahmins went away dissatisfied. And therefore, when King Nrija came before Yamaraj said, "Oh, you did a lot of good pious activities, but it does one thing, that you made that one error in your charity. You offended these Brahmins. So what do you want first? First the good reactions and then the bad, or first the bad reaction and then the good?" And he said first the bad reaction. Srila Prabhupada in a lecture said, "That was stupid. You should have asked first the good reactions and then chant Hare Krishna and become Krishna conscious, and then all your karma is gone." But anyway, that's this giving charity, that is one of the practices to get rid of one's one idea, "This is mine." One becomes detached. It's a gradual process. And then verse 29, that describes pranayama. Still others were inclined to the pose of breath restraint, to remain in trance practice by offering the movement of the outgoing breath into the incoming, and the incoming breath into the outgoing, and thus at last remain in trance, stopping all breathing, others curtailing the eating process, offer the outgoing bread into itself as a sacrifice. So Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport the practice of Kumbhaka Yoga. That's the yogis, they do pranayama, these breathing exercises, and they come to a point that they balance the ingoing with the outgoing breath. I don't know if you ever tried to do it, so practice some Ashtanga yoga and do that. If I can do that for 20 seconds or so. But during these 26 seconds, you feel very peaceful. The mind is very peaceful. Everything comes to a standstill. But the point here is, yogis do that many times to prolong their lives, their longevity, to prolong it. Because according to the Shastra, everyone gets a certain number of breaths in his life. And that's what you get, not more. The duration of your life is predestined. A good astrologer, mostly they will not say it, but a good astrologer can calculate your longevity. And by your astrological card, which is nothing more than a calculation of your karma, they can say when you have to leave your body. A good astrologer. So we have a certain number of breaths, and that's it. And Srila Prabhupada many times spoke about this man who was a great industrialist, and he had so many plans and was begging to the doctor to prolong his life for 1 year, but he could not. He had to go. So this number of breaths is the maximum duration of our life, but we can still also reduce our lifetime. That maximum lifetime be reduced by sinful activities. You can read in Krishna book, where the killing of Kamsa, where Srila Prabhupada writes, Kamsa reduced his lifespan just with his sinful activities. So we can imagine that it is important knowledge. But a devotee does not want to prolong his life artificially. But these yogis, they can balance their incoming with their outgoing breath, Kumbhaka Yoga, and they can prolong their lives with many years. Up to even 400 years they live. But then still they have to die. But that's not important for a devotee. Longevity. What's important, Srila Prabhupada writes here in the purport, is the quality of life and what you did in your life for the benefit of others. And he gives you examples in lectures. Jesus Christ was 30 years old, 33 years old, and Sankaracharya was also around that. Lord Chaitanya, 48 years. It is because their life was not so long. Was it not important? No, they made great contributions. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, a Krishna conscious person at the end of life is transferred to the transcendental plane of the Lord Krishna. Consequently, he makes no attempt to increase his longevity. This person on the picture is from Indonesia, 144 years old. But he cannot see anymore, cannot hear anymore, cannot speak anymore. What's the use of becoming so old? So then we come to verse 30. Now in verse 30, Krishna gives important information how to act on the spiritual platform, how to do the sacrifice he was speaking of in 3.9. Everything as a sacrifice for Krishna. And then no karmic reactions. But what does it mean? Do things as a sacrifice for Krishna? For that, in verse 30, he gives 4 conditions. He says, for that, Sarvapyete Chakyo Vido Chakraksab Sakalmasa Chakrasistamrita Bhujo Yanti Brahma Sanatana. All these performers who know the meaning of sacrifice become cleansed of sinful actions, and having tasted the nectar of the results of sacrifice, they advance toward the supreme eternal atmosphere. And so in this verse, I was mixing up with 3.30 of Bhagavad Gita, this is 4.30. In this verse, Krishna speaks about the results of sacrifices. So he mentioned before many sacrifices, and here is speaking about the results. All the before mentioned sacrifices help one to become cleansed of sinful reactions of material existence. By this advancement in life, not only does one become happy and opulent in this life, but also at the end, he enters in the eternal kingdom of God, either merging into the impersonal Brahman or associating with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in verse 31, it becomes more specific. Nyam lokosti ajachahya kutonya kurusattama. Or best of the Kuru dynasty, without sacrifice, one can never live happily on this planet or in this life. What then on the next? Krishna mentioned that also in other verses of the Bhagavad Gita. If one does not do sacrifice in this life, then there will be no happiness in this life and in the next. That in the 9th chapter, he will say, if one does not have faith in the scriptures, has not faith in my instructions, that then he cannot gain happiness in this life and the next. So happiness as a result of sacrifice in this life and the next. So what's the result? What is expected of sacrifice? All these sacrifices are meant to lead to liberation. But to get liberation, one must get self-realization, realized knowledge. So they also lead to knowledge. Text 32. Evambaro vidajahya vidata brahmano mukhe karmajam viditan sarvam evangatvam vimokshase. All different types of sacrifice are approved in the Vedas, and all of them are born of different types of work. Knowing them as such, you will become liberated. So that's important to understand that Krishna, here in the Bhagavad Gita, gives these different sacrifices for different kinds of people who are on different levels. That you have the level of the Karma Yoga, the Jnana Yoga, the Astanga Yoga or the Dhyana Yogi, and the Bhakti Yoga. Different levels. But he gives sacrifices for each one on these levels. Krishna is concerned with everyone, even if they don't accept him as the Supreme Personality of God, like the impersonalist. He wants them to advance on their level. And then in next life or the life after, come to the next level. So 32. Because men are so deeply absorbed in the body concept, these sacrifices are so arranged that one can work either with the body, with the mind, or with the intelligence. But all of them are recommended for ultimately bringing about liberation from the body. So that's the purpose of these sacrifices. It purifies us, brings us to liberation. But finally, it has to bring us to self-realization. Self-realization means understanding who Krishna is, who we are, what our relationship is, and engage in that relationship. That engagement in pure consciousness is self-realization. So, but that's self-realization, or the position of self-realized knowledge. Therefore, Krishna, he finalizes in 32, Shayandra Maya Chakya, Chakya, Jnana Chakya Parantapa, Sarvam Karma Kilam Parta, Jnane Parisamapyate. O chastiser of the enemy, the sacrifice performed in knowledge is better than the mere sacrifice of all material possessions. After all, O son of Pritha, all sacrifices of work culminate in transcendental knowledge. So that's the purpose, finally, of all sacrifices, is to come to complete knowledge. Who is Krishna? Who am I? What is our relationship? And engage in that relationship. And that alone, that engagement alone in the devotional service is the activity of the soul. And by engaging in that, we become purified and we start to engage as to act as a spirit soul and not as the body. And then we realize the knowledge. I'm not his body, I'm not the observer. That I'm just an instrument in Krishna's hands. And that's real jnana. Jnana kanda is higher than karma kanda. It's better than that the end is knowledge. So Srila Prabhupada says, this karma kanda sacrifice, worshiping of the demigods for material profit, that's lower. Karma kanda, they try at least to understand what's the difference between matter and spirit. That's better. Knowledge is better, he says. So we are here ending this first section. Some reflections. Which of the above mentioned sacrifices are practiced by devotees? What is the knowledge behind their practice? What practical lessons can I learn from this? So, some of the sacrifices are certainly useful. The brahmachari principle, to control the senses, that was, I think, brahmachari. Yeah. The unalterated brahmachari sacrifice the hearing process and the senses in the fire of mental control. So they try to control their mind and senses. And then others sacrifice objects of the senses in the fire of the senses. That's the Grihastha. He uses every opportunity to use everything, his body, mind, and senses, and all his possessions in the service of Krishna. The young son, 5 years old, has his birthday, and we use the occasions. We invite all the devotees for kirtan, a birthday cake, prasadam cake, and we serve the devotees. Every moment we use that's Shriyasta life, using our senses, body, mind, and sense in the service of Krishna. So this is the first section. We will now have a pause of 10 minutes till 10:30 your time. But first, we will have a pause now, and 10:30 I will start with 10 minutes questions, 50 minutes questions, and then after that we will go to the whole last part of the chapter, which is an important part, because in the next verse Krishna will speak about approaching a spiritual master. He said now, the result of holy sacrifices is culminates in knowledge, but we should get that knowledge direct from the spiritual master. That's superior, and that we will discuss at 10:30. But thank you. We will now pause for 10 minutes, and 10:30 we start again. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Here we are back online. So there were two questions. I get that shot here. First is from Haricharan Prabhu. How do we understand the word nirasraya in verse 20? It looks like the word meaning is independent or without any shelter, but in this material world, practically we always depend on others either to get essentials for survival. Is Krishna mentioning to be self-sufficient by growing our own food? I read the verse again, 20. Abandoning all attached to the result of his activities, ever satisfied and independent, he performs no fruitive action, although engaged in all undertakings. So there are different things here. He does not perform fruitive action. If I look at the meaning given by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, which is also confirmed by Srila Prabhupada, he says exactly the same. The person is always satisfied by his own bliss, nitya tripta. So the yogi who is always satisfied in himself, he does not take shelter at anything for his livelihood, nirasraya. And that's the meaning in the context of this verse. Srila Prabhupada, in his translation, makes the same point. When he is ever satisfied and independent, he performs no fruitive activity. No fruitive activity. That's the point. And there is no interpretation beyond that. That's the meaning given by Srila Prabhupada. When one feels internally satisfied, then one does not perform anything for getting gain in this world. He does not take shelter, material shelter anymore. Finished. And that will be deeper explained in chapter 5. In chapter 5, that will be explained at the end. The yogi who feels satisfied within has no other. He has no other desire, or he does not desire anything in this world. That's the meaning. It is not that Krishna says here that we have to be self-sufficient by growing our own food, because the point is here, spiritually satisfied, no material shelter anymore. That's the point. And then the other question from Suman Prabhu, that I read the question. Can you please explain Brahmarpam, Brahmahavir verse again? The translation is highly technical. Bhagavad Gita 4.24. Also, unlike Srimad Bhagavatam, the path of Bhakti is not exclusively mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. We find it through Prabhupada purpose. How does the devotee practically apply the yoga ladder, including Jnana and Jnana in Krishna consciousness? Well, Srila Prabhupada, like I said before, I think, you have this yoga ladder, different, you have this Jnana yoga, Karma yoga, Jnana yoga, Astanga yoga, and then Bhakti yoga. But all these paths are on the ladder to Bhakti. So Bhakti is the highest practice. But that does not mean that the other sports of the ladder are not important for us. Otherwise, Krishna could have made Bhagavad Gita very short. He could have not spoken over all these lower sports of the ladder and told Arjuna in the beginning, Sarvadam Prichyamamakam Sramvaja, and it would be finished, Bhagavad Gita. But you have all these ladders, these sports of the ladder between, but these are also useful. And why are they useful? Because they are parts, they are also lower yoga systems, but incomplete yoga systems, incomplete yoga. So, like karma yoga is action, and one does it without attachment to the results. That's detachment. Action and detachment, that's karma yoga. Jnana yoga has also two qualities. It's not action anymore. The Jnana yogi is concerned about knowledge, difference between matter and spirit, and renunciation, detachment. Two qualities. So karma yoga is action, and karma yoga is action and detachment. Jnana yoga is detachment and knowledge that I'm different from this body. I'm a spirit soul. But then the Jnana yogi, after understanding that he's not a body, wants to know, because the karma yoga performs karma without detachment, that leads to knowledge, to the point that, who am I? And then he becomes a Jnana yoga, and he wants to know, I'm different from spirit, matter and spirit, and he studies the difference between matter and spirit, and he comes to the conclusion, I'm not this body. But then he wants to know how can I experience being a spirit soul. And then he goes to Astanga yoga. Astanga yoga has three qualities. It's in knowledge that we are a spirit soul, not a body, right? That's the first. That it's detached because you give everything up. You have to go inside. Detached. And the third quality is meditation. Has three qualities. But Bhakti yoga is a complete yoga because it has 5 qualities. It has 5 qualities. It is action in a renounced way with the knowledge, complete knowledge that we are a part of Krishna and his servant. And it's meditation on Krishna. And it has a 5th quality that none of the other yogas have. And that will develop at the end, devotion. And you need devotion to go back to Godhead. All the other yogis, they stay in this material world. Even those who have Brahman realization, they have to come back because their realization is incomplete. They realize I'm not a body, but they don't realize who they are, a part and parcel of Krishna. So one needs to understand all these points that I'm going back to your question. Yeah. And now, how to understand that? It looks technical, but it's not so complicated. Krishna is telling to Arjuna, Arjuna, you have to be like a Brahman. A Brahman, he uses his body, he speaks mantras, he uses the ladle, pours ghee into the fire with mantras, svaha, and that is his sacrifice. And everything in the sacrifice becomes spiritual. Arjuna, you have to be like a Brahman. You are the Brahman in the sacrifice, and your ladle, your spoon, is your bow. And you do the sacrifice with your fighting, using your bows or your weapons that you have, and by that, everything will become spiritualized in your action. You will act spiritually. Everyone who was killed by Krishna went back to the spiritual world. In the same way, we have to perform our sacrifice also. Whatever we have, we use in the service of Krishna. You have a house, you have to turn it into a temple and offer it to Krishna. That's your sacrifice. Make it a temple. Then it's the house of Krishna. Your wife is a devotee, and your children. So you work for your family. You work for Krishna's devotees. It becomes spiritual. That every possession you have, you use in the service of Krishna. And that's the meaning. But to do that sacrifice in Krishna consciousness, some knowledge from the lower ladders is useful. Like we have heard about the brahmachari principles. That's important in Krishna consciousness also. And using the senses in the service of is also important. There are many important things. And charity, justas give charity, must feed everyone, because by that they give up their selfishness, they become purified. So many principles we find in these other systems, especially in the 6th chapter. We will learn about yoga, control of the mind, and we will relate it to the chanting of the holy name. All practical information. And Srila Prabhupada, he knows that the purpose of everything is bhakti, and he relates everything to bhakti. Therefore, he sees everything to bhakti. And because that's the useful aspect of that knowledge for us. You understand, Simon Prabhu? Okay?
Yes, Maharaj. Maharaj, just one more question. I was telling technical because it's written consummation is absolute. That word looks little difficult to understand.
Yeah, absolute means...
Consummation, what does that mean? Consummation is absolute.
What you do for Krishna is absolute, because you get absolute benefit. You make spiritual advancement. That word consummation, I also don't know really the technical explanation of that. I'm not so in sacrifices, but I understand the practical meaning of the verse. Does that help? Okay.
Yes, Maharaj, thank you so much. It was so clear.
We will take one last question here from Mother Radha Bhakti. What if we are performing devotion service for Krishna's pleasure, but we have a tinge of personal motivation. For example, what if I'm performing service, but part of me also wants some fame or recognition? Is that considered a karma? That, well, it depends on your sincerity. It's good to recognize that we have still some material desires, but we must want to get rid of it. There's the 9th offense against the holy name, to remain material attached even after receiving so many instructions on that matter. If we pray to Krishna, please, Lord Krishna, let me perform, I'm trying to perform devotional service, and I know I want that also, but I should not want that. But please help me. And then Krishna will do 2 things, and only Krishna can do that. He will fulfill your material desire and take it away at the same time. I give you an example before continuing that 25 years ago, I joined Radha's temple in Belgium, and I was an accountant. And Bhakti Maharaj ordered me, you should do that. That service, he said, you should do that for Radhadesh. You are an accountant, you become now a chartered accountant, and you organize the whole administration there. What I did for many years, that I cleaned everything out. But I had to become a chartered accountant. That's a higher level of accountant. For that, I had to do a proof period in an accountant's office, which was 3 hours drive from Radhadesh. And yes, I wanted to become a devotee, but I had also one material desire. I liked to drive big cars, and I had a big BMW. But by following the instructions of my spiritual master, I had to drive 3 times from Radhadesh to Antwerp and back. And yeah, it's about, I might say, in 2 directions, 400 miles that going back, and I had to do that 3 times or more even a week. Every week I was driving 1,200 miles. I did that for 18 months. Krishna fulfilled my desire. I could drive big cars, but after 18 months, I got enough from it. I didn't want to drive a car anymore after that experience. I gave it completely up. So just by following the order of my spiritual master, that Krishna fulfilled the material desire and took it away. So don't worry too much about that. Just engage in devotional service sincerely, and Krishna, in due course of time, will take it away, fulfill it and take it away. And only Krishna can do that. So thank you very much. We will now continue with the last part, because we have to finish today chapter 4, and this is a very important section. So we go next. So this section will explain that we have to approach a spiritual master, get from him transcendental knowledge. Then Krishna will explain the result of bringing that knowledge in practice, and then the power of that knowledge, what what potency it has, that the conclusion will be this knowledge is the mature fruit of all mysticism. So, text 34, that's your memorization verse. Tat Vidipanapadna Pariprasnana Sevya Upatekshanti Janam Janastatva Dakshinaha. That translation by Srila Prabhupada. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. So the spiritual master must be qualified, must have seen the truth. This Guru Tattva is a whole point that we will not discuss that here in detail, that, but the spiritual master must be self-realized. That Srila Prabhupada says the spiritual master should be an Uttam Adhikar on the highest platform. You can also accept a Madhyam Adhikar as spiritual master. That's okay, but one must understand that this spiritual master can guide the disciple to his own platform and not above. But there are Shiksha Gurus, there are Diksha Gurus, so many things to say on that platform. But like it was explained before in the second chapter already, that there you learned that Vyavasatmika Buddhi Ekanako Nanana Pausakyanantasa Buddhya Vyavasainam. This Vyavasatmika Buddhi, one-pointed intelligence. So Krishna consciousness means one-pointed intelligence. Everything what you do, you should consider, will that please my spiritual master? Is that the instruction of my spiritual master? So the disciple should always feel connected with the spiritual master, to his instructions. Because satisfaction of the self-realized spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada writes here, is a secret for advancement in spiritual life. In the purport of 241, he says the same. Unless there is submission, service, inquiry from the learned spiritual master will not be effective. You can have a bona fide spiritual master who is highly advanced, but you cannot, the transfer of knowledge will not take place if he's not pleased. And he's only pleased when you are submissive, you perform service, you inquire from him humbly. So these three factors are very important. They must be there, all three. Satisfaction of the spiritual master by humbly inquiring him and serving him. Then it will be effective, because then Krishna is pleased. Because the spiritual master is a representative of Krishna. When the spiritual master is pleased, Krishna is pleased. The spiritual master is as good as Krishna. Yasya prasado, Bhagavat prasado, yasya prasado, narati kutopi. Without the mercy of the spiritual master, one cannot get the mercy of Krishna. Not possible. Why? Because Kinto Prabhoya Priya Evatasya, the spiritual master, is as good as Krishna. He's not as Krishna. He's not Krishna, but he's as good as Krishna. So the mercy of Krishna is representative, the spiritual master. That's very important. that without understanding that point, we will not get knowledge from the spiritual master. Because you hear the instruction, but then you inquire from the spiritual master, how am I going to bring that in practice in my life? Because theoretical knowledge has no meaning. We must practice it. And when we practice it correctly, then after practicing it correctly, one will get the results and become Krishna conscious. And that's explained in the next verse, the result of Krishna consciousness. Yat yatvan punamam evan yasyasi pandava yena bhutani asheshani dakshasyatmi atmani atomai. Having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, you will never fall again into such illusion. For by this knowledge, you will see that all living beings are but part of the Supreme. In other words, that they are mine. So here, this verse, Krishna explains, yes, when you follow the instructions of the spiritual master and have pleased him, then you will become Krishna conscious. And that's the result. You will start to see, and that's further explained in next chapter. There you have from verse 16 till 26, Krishna will tell us about symptoms of a self-realized soul. And all these symptoms will appear in us. There's an expansion of this verse. All these verses are explained deeper there. Deeper, what are these symptoms? And by hearing these symptoms, we can meditate how to develop these qualities in our own life. That you start to see that nothing is separate from Krishna. Everything is in this world is connected with Krishna. My mouth is speaking now, but I'm only desiring. The super soul is doing the speaking. Krishna is doing the speaking as the super soul, controlling material nature. And whatever I desire, Krishna will fulfill to what I deserve. If he does not want that I speak, I may desire it, but it will not happen. So you start to see, I'm not a doer, I'm only desiring. And you start to see that everyone in this world is part and parcel. So the result of knowledge from a self-realized soul is learning that all living beings are part and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. So that's explained in 518 more explicitly, that there it is explained that the self-realized soul sees in the heart of an elephant, a Brahman, a dog eater, a dog. It sees the spirit soul, the same spirit soul, and it feels great compassion. This dog is suffering, I'm also suffering, we have something in common. So it's just the body that is different, and the material circumstances. It's not that we embrace a tiger. No, the material circumstances do not allow that, but we see the tiger as a part of Krishna also. The living being's sense of being an identity apart from Krishna is called Maya. That is what Prahlad Maharaj Pitah Drista calls separatist mentality. That's the material mentality of identifying with the body. Separatist. If I see my body and I think I'm a man, I'm different, I'm separating myself from all the women. That's material consciousness, separatist. That if I'm thinking that I'm an Englishman, I'm different from all the other nationalities. These are all material designations. That and a devotee never thinks in these material designations. He sees everything as a service of Krishna. A materialist will see a flower and think, oh, that's for my enjoyment, and sniffs from it. A devotee sees a flower, oh, that's a beautiful flowers, so beautifully created by Krishna. Let it offer to my deity. Let it me offer to Krishna. It connects it immediately with Krishna. A materialist does not see Krishna, say, no, that's for me, for my enjoyment. I'm the center. I'm the enjoyer. That's the difference. You lose that, and you know your own position. Liberation means that to be situated in one's constitutional position as an eternal servitor of Krishna. And when you become Krishna conscious, you are on a boat of knowledge. We will see here, transcendental knowledge is compared to a boat. The next verse is compared to fire. Sometime later in the 6th chapter, we will see and in the 15th chapter, it's compared to a sword. So different ways to understand the power of this knowledge. So I read the verse, Absita Sapabhya Savabhya Papakitama Savajana Plavene Vamprichnam Santrishasi. Even if you are considered the most sinful of all sinners, when you are situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, you will be able to cross over the ocean of material miseries. Srila Prabhupada writes, even if you are considered to be the most sinful of all sinners, when you are situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, you will be able to cross over the ocean of miseries. So by joining ISKCON, we are on this boat, crossing material nature to the spiritual world. The only thing we have to do, you have to stay on the boat and you will reach the other side. You have to continue chanting Hare Krishna, serving the spiritual master, follow the regulative principles, try your best. You stay on the boat in association of devotees. Say that is Srila Prabhupada is the captain of the boat. The favorable wind is the Hare Krishna mantra, and it brings us to the other side. That's the analogy here. So Prabhupada writes in the perfect knowledge received from the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the path of liberation. The boat of Krishna consciousness is very simple, but at the same time, the most sublime. It's the most sublime knowledge and it has a great power to burn all of our previous past sinful reactions. And that's explained in the next verse, 37. Yadaidam sosamidach nirbhasmasat kotaryana chiknagni sarvakarmani bhasmasakro teta. As a blazing fire turns fire to ashes, O Arjun, so does the fire of knowledge burn to ashes all reactions of material knowledge. So that knowledge that we are a spirit soul, not a body, that we are a part and parcel of Krishna, and that is our duty to serve Krishna. With that knowledge, if we act according to that knowledge, all our karma is destroyed. All karma, even punya karma, good karma, bad karma, everything. Destroyed by Brahma Vidya, by that knowledge, if you act according to that knowledge. Most people in this world act with the knowledge, the false knowledge that they are the body, and that this life is everything, and enjoy, because after death there is nothing. That is their philosophy. And everyone practically is shown up with that philosophy, and we have to give that up, come out of that, associate with devotees, with the spiritual master, and try to understand this absolute reality explained here in Bhagavad Gita, that all karmas, in nectar of devotion, it's explained there are 4 types of karma which are destroyed by devotional service. Parabdha karma, aparabdha karma, kucha, kuta, bija. Aparabdha is that which is not yet manifest. Parabdha is that what is now manifest, suffering. And then you have kuta, bija. Kuta is the to do sinful activities. And bija is a seed to do it again. But all these karmas are destroyed. Only some karma remains that keeps this body going. Because if you don't have any karma anymore, you have no material body anymore. You disappear. So this karma is running out. Like Srila Prabhupada says, it's like a fan. A fan, you disconnect it with the electricity, and it continues running for some time, but then finished. So this body will be running for some time, then we leave the body and we don't take another one because our karma is finished. That's the power of this knowledge, that all this karma is gone. And therefore, and thus the conclusion about this knowledge, it's called the mature fruit of all mysticism. Text 38. Naihyanena Sastri sampavitam yavidyate tatsvayam yoga samsita kalnatmada vindati. In this world there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Such knowledge is the mature fruit of all mysticism. And one who has accomplished in the practice of devotional service enjoys this knowledge within himself in due course of time. You enjoy it within yourself. Within yourself, you become full of joy and satisfied. And that's the power of connecting with Krishna. If the heart is still impure, we feel satisfaction, not a great bliss yet. Sometimes we get some bliss in kirtan, sometimes we get some ecstatic feeling, but when the heart is purified and we continue performing devotional service, we will always feel spiritual bliss. So, if you look at these last 4 verses, which are in a sense key verses, that's how to get the knowledge by approaching a spiritual master, serve him, and by inquire from him. And then you bring it in practice. Next verse, you become Krishna conscious. You see everything connected with Krishna. Then you are on the boat of transcendental knowledge. You are on the path to liberation, back to the spiritual world. And on that path, all your karma will be burned. So these are 4 important points. It's not that my karma becomes automatically burned. No. You have to follow this process. Inquire from the spiritual master how to practice it and serve him submissively. And then when you practice it, you will get realization. If the realization is not following, you have to go back to the spiritual master. What do I do wrong? And he will correct you. Unless, and then you get realization. You are on the boat and your karma is destroyed at that time. So by following the instructions of the spiritual master, always our karma comes destroyed. So that means here, do I approach a bona fide spiritual master, inquire for him and serve his instructions? There are different kinds of spiritual masters. That a devotee asks Srila Prabhupada, how do I know what pleases you? If you are not there, you are at the other side of the world. Srila Prabhupada wrote back in the letter, but my representative is there, the temple president. You follow his instructions and that will please me. It's important to understand this principle, that we are a society and there are Diksha Gurus, Siksha Gurus. Krishna says in the 11th canto, Siksha and Diksha are equally dear to me. They are equal. We should not differentiate with them. We should give them the same honor, the same respect. That is our duty. But do we approach them? Do we inquire from him of what to do? Or do I decide myself what to do? Two different things. If you decide yourself what to do, you are not connected with the instruction of the spiritual master. That you have to work in the parameters he gives me. Otherwise, the process will not be fully effective. Do I experience the power of inner peace and vision resulting from realizing this knowledge? That's important. If you practice devotional service and you don't feel satisfied within, then there is something wrong. If one performs pure devotional service, satisfaction should be there. One does not need to be a pure devotee to be practicing pure devotional service. Pure devotional service will be explained also in next chapter. Tat buddhyas, tat atmas, tat nishtas, tat prayana, kachanta, punarapitam, jnana nirduta, kalmasa, 5:16. That one should use one's body, mind, and words always in the service of Krishna or in the service of the spiritual master. And when one does that, always satisfaction will come. But many times devotees follow the instructions of the spiritual master, but they follow also the instructions of their mind. The mind will say that you like, yet that you don't like, do this, do that. And we become under the influence of the mind. If not, lack of patience, not fully surrender to the instructions of the spiritual master, lack of humility, immature understanding. We should not think too quickly, I've understood something from Bhagavad Gita. Be very careful with that. And I'm studying Bhagavad Gita for many, many years, and I see always new things and deeper understanding. It's without end, because it's transcendental. And now we will end with the last verses of this chapter, 19, 40, and 41. In 39 and 40, that speaks about the qualification for knowledge and the disqualification for knowledge. First, qualification for knowledge, 39. Shadavallata bhejnanam tatpara samyatendriyam jnanam labdva param santim ashiranadhigacchati. A faithful man who is dedicated to transcendental knowledge and who subdues his senses is eligible to achieve such knowledge. And having achieved it, he quickly attains the supreme spiritual peace. So it says, one should have faith in the scripture. One should be fixed in controlling the senses, means engage them always in Krishna's service and don't do sinful activities. If you do this too, what will be the result? It said in this verse, you will get knowledge and liberation. You must do these two things, having faith in the scripture and fixed in the practice of controlling the senses. And in verse 40, Krishna says the disqualification. Disqualification, but ignorant and faithless persons who doubt the revealed scriptures do not attain God consciousness. They fall down. For the doubting soul, there is happiness neither in this world nor in the next. So, if you don't have faith in the scriptures, Krishna says, then your doubts will remain. And you won't attain, you will have no happiness in this life or in the next. So Krishna says, it's up to you. You accept what I'm saying, the scriptures, and you control your senses, and you execute the instructions, then you will attain knowledge and liberation. But otherwise, no happiness in this life or in the next. So then does the qualification and the disqualification so Krishna concludes, you should become fixed in this knowledge, fixed in this superior jnana. Superior jnana means the science of the soul. That Srila Prabhupada said in some lecture, unless in this life you become a doctor in the soul, the science of the soul, your life is wasted. So we have to become fixed in this knowledge. But this knowledge is not theoretical knowledge. This knowledge will arise from the performance of devotional service. Then Krishna gives you the realization to the heart. But this knowledge in the 4th chapter gives us how to do the sacrifice, how to attain this knowledge and execute it properly. Text 40, yeah. Yoga sanyasya karmanam jnana sanchina samsayam atma bantam na karmani nipatnanti dhananja. One works in devotional service, renouncing the fruits of his actions, and whose doubts have been destroyed by transcendental knowledge, is situated directly in the self. Thus is not bound by the reactions of work, O conqueror of riches. So it means that if you are engaged in devotional service, then all our reactions of work will stop. And that's the cause of our taking birth again and die again and so on. So it stops all karmic reactions. And Krishna concludes this chapter. Tasma ajnana sambhutam ritstam jnana sinatana chitvanam samsamam yogam atistotista bharata. Therefore, the doubts which have arisen in your heart out of ignorance should be slashed by the weapon of knowledge. Armed with yoga, O Bharat, stand and fight. So Krishna urges Arjuna now, based on this knowledge, you fight. You understand you are a spirit soul, and your function is to serve the Supreme Whole. and I'm Krishna, that supreme whole, and I'm you, the supreme spiritual master. I'm instructing you. You fight according to my instructions, and that's so. The fight should be based on this transcendental knowledge, how to act as a spirit soul. So Krishna urges Arjuna to arm himself with transcendental knowledge and fight. Here, sacrifices are based on regulation, regulated action, should that be, and are meant to awaken Krishna consciousness. Sacrifice is spiritual if performed with a spiritual objective, which requires knowledge of one's own self and the truth regarding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is a summary of Srila Prabhupada of the whole chapter, and it's so simple, so simply presented. And nothing more has to be said if you understand what he writes in that one sentence. Sacrifice is spiritual if performed with a spiritual objective, which requires knowledge. Who Krishna is, who I am, and what's devotional service, what's our relationship. So that requires knowledge of one's own self and the truth regarding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, knowing ourselves and who Krishna is. Very simple. I have a few more slides. I spoke about the yoga ladder, which I explained before. That this is just a reminder for you. Here you have references to each part of the yoga ladder and the connections between that. So after the session of today, my assistant will again process the recording of today, and I will send you the link so that you can hear and see everything again. That at the end, for your convenience, I have posted the memorization verses that you have to memorize for this chapter. 4.2, 4.8, these are 4.9, 4.34. So thank you very much. Any questions? See one in the chat. Can you repeat the 5 elements of Bhakti Yoga that makes it complete? It's in knowledge. Knowledge who we are, who Krishna is, and knowledge of our relationship with Krishna. Knowledge. It's renounced because we do everything for Krishna, not for ourselves. We do everything with the understanding everything belongs to Krishna and is for his pleasure. Renounced. That, and then the next one is renounced, detached. It is the third one. It's meditation. It's a meditation on Krishna, devotion of Krishna, and it's an activity. It's action. These are the 5. Knowledge, renunciation, action, meditation, devotion. Anything else?
Krishna Maharaj, I had one question.
Yes, sure.
434. So when we perform devotion service, how does the spiritual master impart knowledge in our heart? Is that Krishna that sees that we are performing devotion service and he gives us realizations?
How did Lord Brahma get this knowledge? Tene Brahma Hridaya Ardakavye. Krishna gave it to his heart. He gave the realization to his heart. And the system by which Brahma got the knowledge and the system by which we get the knowledge is the same. The realization comes to the heart. But it is only when we please the spiritual master. This is explained in 10.10 of Bhagavad Gita, that Tesham Satayuktinam Vachnam Pitapurkam Dadami Buddhyogam Tam Yena Mam Upayantite. Krishna says, if you serve me with a little love, but that service has to be done by pleasing the spiritual master. Serving the spiritual master is a sign of love, Pitapurkam. And then if you do that, Krishna says, Dadami, I will give. I will give Buddhi Yogam. Buddhi Yogam is Buddhi's intelligence, but Buddhi Yoga is realized intelligence. It's Vijnan, realization that you get. And with that realized knowledge, Krishna gives that to the heart, the Dami, Buddhi Yogam, Yenama Upayantiti. You can go back to the spiritual world. In the next verse, Krishna gives more details, how he gives that to the heart. Tesham evanakampatam am ajnana chamtama nasajamatma bhavastu gana dipena vashvata. To such a devotee, I enter his heart with the Deepa, with the torch of knowledge, and I burn away all his misunderstandings. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, even if a devotee is not fully conversant with transcendental knowledge, but with sincerity serves Krishna, Krishna will help him from within. He gives realizations. Like I can say, what are these realizations? Because it's realization you take with you to your next life, not the theoretical knowledge. You take only the impressions from the theoretical knowledge. But the realizations you take with you. I think I spoke last time about realizations. Like I said, 30 years ago, if a devotee would come to me and said something nasty to me, I would feel disturbed. And I could be disturbed for weeks or months about it. Now, 30 years later, if that happens again, I will again be disturbed. 5 minutes, and then I let it go. So that's a little realization after 30 years. And that's what we need. You have understood the fertility of the material world. I've nothing to achieve here. I just want to purify my heart. That's realization. That I remember, because one of my Shiksha gurus is Burijan Prabhu, who taught me the Bhagavatam in Vrindavan. We went to the Bhakti Bhava and all the Bhakti Vedanta. I was one of the first with others who did Bhakti Vedanta. And someone asked Burijan Prabhu, are you self-realized? And he replied, yes, I'm self-realized. I realized I'm a complete nonsense. And that's the realization, really, with what we need. Srila Prabhupada said, we came in this world here to pass through, that's all, and suffer. It's not very intelligent. We have lost our transcendental intelligence. And this is a process of regaining it, because it's natural for us to be in that situation, situated in transcendental knowledge. Anyway, I have here another question.
Thank you.
Could you clarify the importance of Shiksha Guru and service to him and how it is connected to service to the Diksha Guru? I want to explain that, but I think we have till 12. I can explain it by my own experiences. I came in contact with the movement at the end of the 80s in Belgium, in the Netherlands, France, Spain. During the 80s, so many zonal gurus fell down that we had the fall and the disappearance from the service of Bhagavan, who was the zonal acharya at that time. And that caused a lot of disruption in the whole area. Many devotees were leaving the movement. It was a big crisis. Some devotees had already taken 3 times initiation, and still the guru would fall down. It was a very difficult period. So at the beginning of the 90s when I joined, I was thinking I will not take so quickly initiation. I don't want to go through that. But then because of the crisis in the area, Bhakti Maharaj was sent to Belgium. And the first thing I noted from him is that, he was always putting Srila Prabhupada in the center. He was a Prabhupada Bhakta. He spoke always about his relationship with Prabhupada and always putting Prabhupada in the center. And he would say, I'm not a spiritual master, he said. The only thing I can do is connect you with Srila Prabhupada. And after some time, considering that, I approached him and we discussed. And he gave 3 instructions. He said, first, never leave the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. 1. The second, never leave ISKCON. The 3rd instruction he gave me was, you take shelter of everyone who is more advanced than you in this movement. Everyone more advanced than us is a Shiksha Guru. But to know who is more advanced, one must have knowledge. Srila Prabhupada speaks about that in Nectar of Instruction, verse 5 purport, in many other places. You must know the symptoms of a Kanishta, a Madhyam, and an Uttam to know who is more advanced than you. But he said you should take shelter of everyone more advanced than you. And I agreed under this condition to become his disciple. And a few years later, I got initiated by him. And I took shelter of everyone who is more advanced than me. Bhakti Maharaj, I met him every year, 10 minutes in Mayapur. And we had some correspondence. But we just didn't have much of interaction. Although, recently I'm following all his lectures, very nice. But I took shelter of different devotees. I've been traveling 15 years with Prahlad Nanda Maharaj, 2-3 months every year. 15 years I was traveling with him. And while we were traveling, he would give in the evening the Bhagavad Gita class, 20 minutes, and then I would give the Bhagavad Gita class, 20 minutes. And after my talk in private, he would correct me. he would correct me, sometimes sweet, sometimes not so sweet. But he taught me how to preach according to Siddhanta, how to preach correctly according to Srila Prabhupada's teachings. And he corrected me many times. I learned from him how to preach because he's expert in that. And then I followed the Bhaktivedanta course, the Bhaktivedanta course in Vrindavan. And I learned from Burijan Prabhu the Bhagavatam. He's my teacher in the Bhagavatam. I worked in the Benelux in France, and especially in Radhadesh. I worked together with Hridaya Chaitanya, who is now also one of the GBCs for Mayapur. And he had to tolerate so much. I worked with him in many fields. And I learned from him tolerance. I was in the ashram together with another brahmachari who is now a Swami, Yadunanda Swami. And from Yadunanda Swami, I learned the importance of making friendships between devotees. From Prema Ananda Siddhi in Radhadesh, he was the head pujari. He taught me all the details of deity worship. Because I've been pujari for many years there. Well, 2-3 years. I've done pujari work for Radha Gopinath. So in that way, the Shiksha Guru is very important. The Diksha Guru, he is said, the Diksha Guru, he gives the devotee Sambandha Jnana. He explains who Krishna is, who he is, what our relationship is. But then one must get Shiksha. Shiksha means Abhidya Jnana. How to act in that relationship with Krishna. And that can be given by many Shiksha Gurus. In our line of disciplic succession, it's going together. It's not a Diksha line, it's a Shiksha line. Shiksha is most important. And the Diksha can give service. The Diksha can instruct us also in Abhidya Jnana. But we can have only one Diksha Guru and have many Shiksha Guru, as many as you want, but they must be more advanced than you, and they will help you to advance in devotional service. The Guru is one. They're explaining the same thing. Service rendered to the Shiksha Guru is the same as to the Diksha Guru. There's no difference. So in our movement, we don't have to ask the Diksha Guru that can I also take instructions from other Shiksha Gurus? No, you can do that. That's Srila Prabhupada's arrangement for us. Because all Shiksha Gurus should be respected in the same way as the Diksha Guru. Because that has been, not doing that is Vaishnava Aparat. And that has caused so much problems in our movement. Anyway, I'm just repeating the ISKCON disciple course. All that knowledge is also out there. So now there is another question. What is Ashtanga Yoga? Why Ashtanga Yoga higher than Jnana Yoga and Karma Yoga? Okay, Karma Yoga means, Krishna says, Karmana Vatakaste Mafalish Kadachana. You do your duty without being attached to the results. Because if we are attached to the results, we work on a material platform. We have to try to work detached. And if you work detached, then surely the heart will become somewhat purified. And so, when one performs karma yoga, then at a certain moment, the heart will become purified, and we will come to the realization, or you will ask the question, who am I? Who am I? Am I this body? Am I different from this body? And one start to inquire. So then one goes to higher yoga. That's jnana yoga. One wants to understand who I am. And by the practice of karma yoga, one has already become a little renounced, because it did not work for the fruits anymore. So one, by study the difference between matter and spirit, I'm not his body, I'm not his head, I'm not his legs, and find I'm not my mind. That's study of Sankhya, study of all the elements. I'm not this, I'm not that. So I'm spirit. The conclusion is I'm spirit, I'm the consciousness in this body. But I want to experience my real self if I'm not a body. And then with that realization, the jnana yogi comes to the conclusion, I'm not this body, I'm Brahman, I'm spirit, but now I want to experience it. Then one goes to higher yoga. This is called Ashtanga yoga. Ashtanga yoga is the eightfold practice of yoga. That's the real yogis which we see. They have to follow niyam, yam, following rules and regulations, things to do and not to do. They follow also the four relative principles that we follow. And then they have to do asana, sitting properly on a kushagat mat, in the right pose. For us, that's also practical. You have this japa tape of Srila Prabhupada, and on that japa tape, Srila Prabhupada is chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama Rama, and suddenly you have sit properly. So he says the one devotee sit properly. So it's important while chanting japa also to sit straight properly. Then you can concentrate better. So a yogi learns to sit properly and then is performing pranayama. We spoke about pranayama, breathing process to come to pure. That is a mechanistic way to purify the mind. That from lust, anger, and so on. It's not an easy process, but it purifies the subtle body also. It doesn't take away your material desires, but it purifies that. And then when one is peaceful, then pratyahara, one goes inside, and start to shut all the external senses, so that finally one comes to dhyan, meditation inside, completely disconnected with the external world. And then one enters in samadhi, and in that samadhi one comes in contact with the super soul. So that's and the yogi in that state of samadhi feels very peaceful and blissful. That yes, he does not desire anything anymore. He's completely satisfied. But in that state, he realized the super soul and understands the super soul in my heart is controlling everything. If we are really peaceful in mind, we will also observe the actions of the super soul. We will see ourselves as observer. So that's the realization of the Ashtanga Yoga. They realize the super soul, Paramatma, is controlling everything in this world. But then still, the yogi, even with that realization, remains in this material world. Unless the yogi understands the cause of this super soul. If one understands the super soul is an expansion of Krishna, it's an expansion of Krishna. And when one understands that the super soul is an expansion of Krishna, an expansion of Bhagavan, one performs Bhakti Yoga, the highest yoga. So, and that is why the one yoga after another is higher. And the highest yogi is the Bhakti yogi. Therefore, it's best to take directly to Bhakti, not to go to all this ladder. That's not necessary. That's a very risky business. Go immediately to the complete yoga. So that is, I've explained what's Ashtanga Yoga, and I've explained why Ashtanga Yoga is higher than Yama and Karma Yoga. Is that okay, Margot Radhika? Okay, thank you. Anything else? So
Maharaj,
yes.
Hare Krishna. This is regarding your evaluation criteria. I was just reading the instructions of the essay that you have just sent.
Yeah.
And just 1 minute, Maharaj. Sorry, I'm just getting the PDF. Yes, Maharaj, you are writing in the general guidelines that your essay should contain no other data than the essay text. What does that mean exactly?
Yeah, you don't have to write the word introduction. You don't have don't need to write the word middle part. You don't have to write the word conclusion. I will understand what's the first paragraph should be your introduction, and the last paragraph should be your conclusion. That's all. Don't write titles between. That's all.
Okay. And can we like quote certain verses from like other than Bhagavad Gita, or that's not allowed?
That's allowed, but the main focus should be Bhagavad Gita, and the other verse, the other verses should be used as a support to clarify further the Bhagavad Gita verses you are quoting. So that's, it should mainly be Bhagavad Gita.
Thank you a lot. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much. Then we will end our session here, and I'm looking forward next week to discuss with you chapter 5. We will go in one session to chapter 5. It's only 20 verses, 26, 27 verses, I think. Yeah. So it would be okay in one session. Please read ahead the chapter. That would be helpful. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Jai Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Jai Hare
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you very much.
Jai.